storm, enough so that it may be producing a tornado right now based on what we're seeing on radar. The storm is moving east right now, and some other areas that are in this warning. Some towns include Keene, Chesham, Swansea, Troy, Dublin as well. These are all in southern New Hampshire, and you can see this red box behind me right here includes the entirety of the storm and some areas farther east where the storm is approaching. Some areas that are not in the warning, but where I want you to be very aware of this storm are places like Hancock and Peterborough, where this storm will reach perhaps in the next 30 minutes or so. If you're in the warning, now's the time to get down to the lowest floor of your house, a basement if you have one. You want to put as much space between you and the top floor of your house and those exterior walls and windows as you can. That's what will keep you safest here. I'll put a tracker on this so we can get an idea of which direction it's going and how quickly. Our storm right now is moving at this moment at 40 miles per hour to the east. So let me put a tracker on it. Even if you're not in the warning, we'll get an idea of where it's headed. And let's switch to full screen here too so you can see the tracker a little bit better. Thanks for that, guys. So here's our tracker. Our storm, like I said, moving east at 40 miles per hour. So that would place it in the next 45 minutes. In towns listed above there. So you're seeing places like Marlborough, Peterborough, Greenfield, Francistown, Wilton, and Milford, and the timing of that storm cell's arrival right beside it right there. So Peterborough around 5:15, Wilton around 5:30, Milford around 5:40. This storm, like I said, moving east right now. So like I said, the National Weather Service, they warned it because they're seeing rotations. Let's take a look and see what we see here. And I'm going to switch again to a higher resolution product for our radar. There's our storm right there. Here is our velocity. This is velocity as in the wind direction. And what we're looking for are those red and green colors side by side, which you can see very clearly there. Really to the north and east of Swansea right there is where we have that middle point of the rotation. So if there's a tornado, it would most likely be right in this area I'm circling for you right there. If there's a tornado, it would most likely be just to the north and east of Swansea, and to the north and west of Webb. It would be moving in the direction of Marlborough and Webb, sort of passing right between the two, is the direction this would be going if there is a tornado on the ground. Now, we don't know for certain if there is. We would need ground confirmation from that, or we don't have that right now, but that is something that we will be watching as this storm continues to progress and develop. So we'll take a look again, get a little more information on our tornado warning right here. As I mentioned, it's tornado warned. It's also producing hail up to ping. Actually, it's half dollar sized hail in this storm, which certainly you do not want to be outside in. You absolutely need to be in your safe place. And this storm also producing a ton of lightning, and you can see all of that just to the south of Keene, and again, really spread out throughout the entire storm. I also want to mention, by the way, and we can go back to me too here. Thanks, guys. We have a couple storms that are in the general vicinity too. So we have another storm that is just to the north and east of this one as well. It is in the direction of Sutton right now, passing between Laconia and Concord. So everyone up at Lake Winnipesaukee right now better be watching that closely. That's a severe storm out there. And I also want to mention we do have a tornado warned storm that is currently moving through the western portion of Connecticut as well, approaching Litchfield. This is not in our area right now, but we are watching this closely too, because this storm, there's so much energy in the atmosphere, it's likely to maintain its strength, and as it does, that would take it on a path that would bring it into the southern portion of Worcester County in about an hour and a half. A lot can happen between then and now, but it's something that we will be watching very closely, and there are also more storms which may certainly evolve over time here. I'm seeing some updates from the National Weather Service, waiting to see if we get any damage reports from the storm. Doesn't seem like we have any right now, but like I said, our storm right now, tornado warned. It looks like it has just moved out of the town of Swansea, out of the town of Keene. So you guys, if you're in that warning, both of you guys are, the storm has now moved beyond you guys. We're watching it closely, but at this point, it is now places like Dublin that are at higher risk as the storm approaches, and some other locations. Marlborough, this storm is right overhead. Same with Webb and Harrisville as well. Those are some areas I want you to be paying very close attention to. What we're saying here. I hope, and you really need to be in the lowest floor of your house at this point. And we're watching the storm as it continues to move eastwards at 40 miles per hour. Like I said, a lot of lightning in the storm. We can also get an idea of the hail in the storm too. We'll open our debris tracker. What you're seeing here is not debris, but rather those green spots. There's quite a few of them, and I'll circle a few of them for you too so you can see them more clearly, at least what I'm looking at. But what we're seeing here, these greenish colors mixed in, those are areas where there may be some large hail. Generally, this entire area out here is where we may be seeing some large hail within the storm. So a couple of hazards here. The tornado potential is certainly the most substantial, but it does seem like we are getting some flooding here as well. I did just get a report come through that there is some road flooding. Some streets are closed, maybe a vehicle or two that is stranded in the storm. Now, part of the reason for that is that this storm is producing such heavy rainfall. And if I put this in motion, you'll get an idea for some of the rain that's falling out here. And as we can see, the storm is continuing to move to the east pretty quickly, but it is dropping rain very heavily and in a short amount of time, and that's going to cause some additional concerns such as flooding. Once again, if you're in this tornado warning, you do need to head down to your safe place right now. That's the lowest floor of your house, a basement if you have one. Just put space between you and the outside walls and windows. I'll put another tracker on this as we continue to watch this storm, and it's one of many today that will have the potential to produce a tornado. The atmosphere, as I mentioned before, it has a lot of energy. There is a lot of spin out there. And these storms, once they become strong, they can tap into the spin. Now, one of the things that concerns me about this storm, too, before I put a tracker on it, and I mentioned this a moment ago, too, but it's the amount of lightning. And you can see all those individual strikes behind me here. When we see a lot of lightning on these storms, that tells us the updraft is very healthy. You get lightning because that updraft, it's basically you have all these particles in the storm crashing together, being pulled apart, and you get lightning strikes. And when you have that much motion within the storm, it usually means that it's going to maintain its strength for at least some time to come here. So for that reason, again, if you're in the warning, you have to be in your safe place, but I'm going to put a tracker on this, and I'll tell you that if you are in this cone I'm about to draw, I want you to be prepared to head to your safe place because I expect this storm to be strong for at least another 30 minutes, if not much longer here. And even if they don't extend the tornado warning, it is very likely they would be extending a severe thunderstorm warning here. So over the next 45 minutes, let's put another tracker on here. Over the next 50 minutes, we'll give it, actually, we'll give it an hour so you have more lead time here. Over the next hour, some of the places that may impact will be Peterborough, Greenfield is in there as well, Amherst, Bedford, Manchester included in this too. So one of our bigger areas in our viewing vicinity may be impacted as soon as around 5:55 p.m. Londonderry also in this as well. And you can see that tracker behind me. If we take full screen, you may be able to see it better. There we are. Thanks, guys. So Peterborough, again, in the immediate threat right now. You're on the outside of that tornado warning, but I do want you to be prepared to head down to your safe place if that warning is extended. Greenfield, Amherst, Bedford, that would be in the next 45 minutes or so. Manchester is one of the bigger metro areas here, and that may be impacted by around 5:55. So if you're in Manchester watching, you need to be thinking about where you're going to go if this warning gets extended. It isn't if, but it is very likely it would at least be extended for severe thunderstorm winds. Seems like we're getting some more weather updates here. I'm going to take a look while we wait for a new radar scan at one of our other storms that's to the north. We're going to take a look at this one. This is on the northern end of our viewing area. I mentioned this is moving into Salisbury right now. It is going to pass to the south of Laconia, and it's actually going to pass right by the Motor Speedway, too. There is a NASCAR race that's going on today, which does make me a little uneasy. You can see I'll circle the spot where that would be, but our Motor Speedway, that would be right around, let me get my circle, that'd be right around here where I'm circling. So we want to hope that storm weakens, but if you know anyone who's at the Speedway right now, I'll tell you this, it's worth giving them a call, okay? They need to know that there is a strong storm coming in. It's warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, but the National Weather Service has marked it with a tornado tag, which suggests that there is some weak rotation, and I'm definitely seeing it here too. There is some weak rotation on the storm. It's not enough to warrant a tornado warning yet, but that may come about if that rotation gets a little stronger. So if you know anyone who's at the Motor Speedway, at the NASCAR race in New Hampshire right now, best give them a call. Make sure they're aware of this storm that's coming in. It concerns me because that's an outdoor event, and I just hope people have a plan. They know where to go if a tornado warning is issued here. Right now, a severe thunderstorm warning, certainly concerning. It's producing hail, but like I said, give your friends, family a call. It's one of the best things you can do. The storm may not be where you are, but you may be able to make a difference helping people out if the storm is where they are. I'm going to take another look at our storm out here in Connecticut. Again, moving out of that tornado warning right now, but the significance of this storm we're seeing moving into Torrington, Connecticut, is that it's beginning to move in our direction. Still about an hour and a half out, but this would make its way into southern Worcester County if it continues to maintain its strength. So I'm going to put another tracker on this for you guys. We're going to plan out its motion, and again we'll extend this out 90 minutes to give you an idea of where it's headed. And you can see some Massachusetts towns there, such as Ludlow, Belchertown as well, Springfield too, and Western Mass. Those are areas that may be impacted. That's about an hour to an hour and a half from now. This storm still has time to evolve. It may weaken, but I'll tell you again, there's so much in the atmosphere, I wouldn't count on it weakening. We'll have to watch this closely. It is tornado warned right now. It is likely to be severe warned if they do not extend the tornado warning. Right now moving through Connecticut, but will be entering into the southern portion of Worcester County at some point in about the next 90 minutes. So we'll continue to watch that closely as well. Let's see if we have anything new on our storm that is now to the east of Keene. This thing moving pretty quickly. Remember, 40 miles per hour. So if you're in Keene and Swansea, they've cut back the tornado warning. You are no longer in the warning. However, if you're in Dublin, for example, we'll take a closer look at this storm. This is in a spot where I do have some concern. We're still seeing some rotation on here. Let me get another look. I have tracking on my iPad next to me too, so when you see me looking off to the side, I'm looking at another high-resolution radar, so you have all the best information, of course. But what we're seeing again here is this storm certainly still rotating. I'm going to circle what I'm looking at so you can see what I'm seeing. And what we're getting is, again, that red and green color side by side, that green color coming in a little brighter. That's our couplet, as we call it. And what you're seeing is this couplet right here just to the east of Marlborough and moving in the direction of Dublin, New Hampshire right now. So if you're in Dublin, if this storm is producing a tornado, it would be passing very close to where you are. Now, if I remember correctly, you guys actually may have had to deal with a tornado last summer too. I know we had some active severe weather right in this area. So hopefully you guys have been well versed in what to do here. If you're watching and I'm calling out your town name, Harrisville, Dublin, even Peterborough, the storm's getting a little close for comfort. You may want to head down to that basement if you have one, or at least the lowest floor of your house. That's where you're going to be safest in the case of a tornado. And that is what we are concerned about right now. This storm warned for the potential of a tornado. Again, we do not have any confirmation that there is a tornado going on, but we can tell from radar, all that rotation, that the possibility for a tornado is very real here. And this was our concern coming into today. All that energy in the atmosphere, all that spin, you only need a couple strong storms to basically tap into that and produce. And that's what we're watching right now, is that potential as this storm continues to move east. I mentioned if you live between, let's say, Peterborough and Manchester, so places would include Mount Vernon, even New Boston, Milford, Merrimack. These are locations that may be dealing with a storm as it moves eastwards here. So that's one of the other things that we'll be watching, is everyone who's downstream of this. I'll put our radar in motion so you can get a better idea of the direction it's headed to. Hopefully that'll help you out a little bit. But there's our storm. Again, you can see it moving east. The other concerning thing is that this would be moving into Manchester. It does appear somebody reported a wall cloud. I can't corroborate that myself because I don't see any pictures, but worth noting, if there is a wall cloud on the storm, that is sort of the final stage before a tornado would drop out of it. Again, I haven't seen pictures myself. That's a report I just got in from somebody. But worth noting, again, this storm certainly rotating. You can see all the lightning on it. It's a healthy storm. Any of these healthy storms have the potential to produce. And actually, if we leave it on full screen, we'll take an even closer look at that wind velocity. We'll also take a look at our debris tracker, too, just to get an updated view of this. There's our green and red colors side by side there, east of Marlborough and Webb, moving in the direction of Dublin, New Hampshire. You can see right on Highway 101 right there and 137. If you know where those two highways cross, that's an area I'm certainly concerned about. So 101 and 137 here in southern New Hampshire. If you know where that is, I'll circle it for you as well. Let me get a different color so you can see those circles better. But that's where we're looking at right now, as an area where there may be some impacts if this storm is producing a tornado. Again, can't confirm that it is at the moment because we have confirmation on radar that there is rotation, but that alone is not enough to say, okay, there is definitely a tornado. We can only say there is a certain chance at a tornado. What we're seeing here is our debris tracker. What we'd be looking for if there was debris would be sort of a blue bullseye. We just got a new radar scan. I'm not seeing that blue bullseye. Rather, what we're seeing is more of that orange and yellow color. That's suggestive of hail, and this storm is also warned for large hail. So you're likely hearing a lot of rain, maybe some thumps on the roof, that hail falling. If you're in Dublin, if you're in Hancock, you know what I'm talking about. You're hearing that on your roof right now. And really the number one thing that stands out is that a lot of you are hearing a lot of rain and lightning, as that really is quite prolific in this storm at the moment. I'll tell you though, one of the things that we would typically look for and that I'm not seeing, we look for more of a hook shape at the bottom of a storm. And when we get a hook in a storm, that tells us that it's rotating. So what I'd expect to see is something that's sort of going like this at the very bottom. Not quite seeing that right now. So that's a good sign. That said, we do know from our wind that the storm is rotating, and I'll bring you back to that. We just got an updated radar scan here. It's that red and green color side by side right here, moving into the Dublin area. And like I said, right along 101 and 137 to the east of Dublin, right where they cross, that is an area that may be impacted if there was a tornado. There is at least some strong wind out there too, and something that we're watching very quickly. So that's something that we need to keep a close eye on. Again, we'll take a look at that storm until we get a new radar scan. We'll come back to this, but I want to take a look at that storm that's to the north right now. Like I said, the NASCAR race is going on, and that would be in this warning box, the southern end of it. I'll put a little marker on it for you so you can see it more clearly. But if you're just tuning in here, we're covering the potential for a tornado on a storm that has just moved to the east of Keene, New Hampshire. I also want to talk about a severe thunderstorm that is moving into the area where the Motor Speedway would be. Circled that in white for you. This storm not tornado warned here, but it is a severe thunderstorm. And the concern here is that, well, obviously there's a lot of people outside at this event, and they are likely paying attention to the event that they're at. Makes a lot of sense, right? Well, that's concerning when you have a severe storm moving in, because they may be caught off guard by heavy rain, wind, some hail. And as I mentioned, the National Weather Service did mention that they believe this storm has the potential to pick up some stronger rotation. And that means, while it is not tornado warned now, it could be if that rotation is realized. So if you know anyone at the Motor Speedway, wouldn't hurt to give them a call. Just say, hey, there's a strong storm. I'm listening to the weather. They're telling me to tell you to pay attention to what's going on outside. That can make a huge difference. You know, if this did get tornado warned, who knows? You could save a life. But just make sure you're thinking of your friends and family who may be out there as well. And same with any friends and family that are in Keene or live to the east of Keene. The warning may not be where you are right now, but you likely know somebody, at least somebody who knows somebody who lives in that area. And we did just get an update on that storm, by the way. They have extended the severe thunderstorm warning. So once this storm moves out of that tornado warning, assuming we don't get a new tornado warning, we'll bring you back to programming. I know a bunch of you are probably anxious to watch some soccer. I would be too. Great Euro Cup going on. But we have the severe storm warning that has been issued. This is extended into the Manchester area. So let me get some information on this for you guys. And you can see that yellow box behind me. We'll take full screen so you can see it a little bit better. How's that? And I'll fill it in for you too so it's more clear. There's our yellow shaded area. That's where our severe storm warning is. Once again, I'm taking a look at the warning. We'll tell you what this is warned for momentarily here. There we are. So this storm has now been warned for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail. You know, it does look like the rotation may be weakening just a little bit, and the National Weather Service has mentioned that as well. But we do have to keep an eye on the storm, as it is still severe warned and moving in the direction of some more populated areas. So again, those places I called out before: Peterborough, Wilton, New Boston, Merrimack, Manchester, New Hampshire, all these areas, a little higher population out there too, some more people in the line of this. You may be impacted by certainly heavy rain, frequent lightning, but especially the concerns here are wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and hail that may be up to the size of quarters. Now that could do minor damage to anything outside. You know, your car is probably not going to get damaged by hail, but the wind is certainly a concern, especially given that that could take down trees, telephone wires. So make sure that you're inside. You don't need to head to the basement for this one, but you need to be inside. I'd feel safest on the lowest floor, and I can tell you they just let that tornado warning expire. So We're going to send you back to programming here in just a moment. Just want to give you a quick update, a quick overview. I want to mention that severe storm we're watching in Connecticut, that was just extended, that warning into Hartford. We're going to keep an eye on that in case it does end up grazing some of our counties in central Massachusetts to the south. We also have that storm near the Speedway. We still have this storm that's moving into Manchester. Just because they dropped the tornado warning now doesn't mean it's the last tornado warning we'll see. So we're going to keep a close eye on these. And I do want to mention as well, we are seeing some further storm development now in the western part of the state over the Berkshires too. Those storms in the Berkshires, those will move eastwards and may impact us in central Mass at least. So we're going to keep a close eye on all of this. And I will be back here again if I see anything concerning. Keep it with us. You know I'll come back. Make sure you have the Boston 25 weather app, by the way. As soon as a storm warning comes out, the app's going to give you a notification. You'll know exactly if you're in the warning or not. It also gives you alerts about thunderstorm, lightning too. Just a good thing to have, honestly. It really is. I see the warnings on there personally as a meteorologist sooner than I see them anywhere else half the time. So good thing to have with you. And like I said, stick with us. If there's any more severe weather, we'll be back. For now, stay safe. Make sure you have a way to get those warnings and stay weather aware this afternoon.